Good, so are you ready? So first technique is called the pressure technique. Okay, you know what's a pressure technique? So pressure technique meaning to say, right, by the way, it's a very common technique that's often used, where basically you're trying to gain some kind of leverage to get someone to do something. So you create some kind of pressure. Very classic example, right, is your boss coming up to you and say, Gabriel, if you don't do this by when, you're not going to go for your holiday. Gabriel, oh my, I got to finish off this work, or else I can't go on a holiday. Alright, am I right? So that's called what? So he's giving you pressure to get things done, or else you're going to what? There's pain associated. This technique is called the legitimizing technique. Okay, what is this legitimizing? So basically, when you use this technique, right, you are also trying to get some kind of leverage by making reference to an authority. You do it one more time, I tell your superior. Okay, I tell the manager. So you use authority to push them into submission. Right? So next one is, what's it called? Exchanging. What's exchanging? Again, a very commonly used technique where basically you identify the interest of the other party, right? And then you propose some kind of what? Give and take. I think this is very commonly used, right? Give and take. And in fact, this method tends to be very effective, right? When you can sort of come up with a win-win scenario that you propose to this person. Alright? Right? So that's exchanging. The next one is what we call the rationale persuasion. Basically, is what? You are building a reasoning around the other person's logical frame of reference. Now, the other method is what we call the alliance building. Now, what's alliance building? Where you get, you find some common goals with this someone that you want to influence, right? And you say, okay, usually when you use alliance building, you're looking from a long-term or short-term perspective. Yes, long-term. You go to this person and say, hey, how can we, right, work this out together? Come on, we can do this, right? I think 5 years down the road, you and I will have much to benefit from this. So look for what are some positive alliance and benefits you can gain in the long run, right? And then is there some give and take again that you need to ensure that this is going to work out, all right? So the only challenge again is what? What's the challenge here? If you can't find long-term benefits, right? Maybe one person find that after some time, this is not benefiting me. Have you seen that before? Usually in partnership, after some time, I feel like I'm giving, right? Then the other guy always receiving, right? Say, okay, I don't think it's going to work for me. I've seen this so often. People started off well, say, wow, win-win. In the end, I realized that I'm still losing. So they will still leave. Alright? So that is alliance building. Now the next method is called what? Appealing to values. Meaning to say what? Remember what are values? Values are things which are deemed as important to us. So essentially when you use this technique, right, you can go up to someone. Now, first thing first, what do you need to do? You need to first identify the person's values, right? And once you identify the person's value, this person values significance, then what do I do next? I try to appeal to his need for significance and get him to work with me. Next, appealing to establish relationship. This one, sometimes some of us like to use this technique. You go to someone and say, Brendan, you and I, buddies, right? Buddies shouldn't be like that, come on, buddies. Buddies, we must do this together, blah, blah, blah. So you use trying to establish use the relationship that's already been established to try to get that person to support you. Now, the last final technique is this. It's called the consulting technique. Okay, this typically I realize work very well if you're dealing with someone who is at a higher level. So one thing I learned in business is this. In the past, I'll just approach people, and then I tell them what I do, no matter who this person is, try to convince them. Then realize that sometimes that method don't always work. But using a technique like consulting means what? I go up to the person and say, hey, what do you think about this, right? So even though I have something to offer them, but I don't go up to them, making them feel that I'm selling them something, but giving them the impression that I'm here to consult you on some things. What do you feel about this? Then later on they realize, hey, actually this is something I need, So that's called the consulting method. So you go out there, you can use questions, right, to gain information and to explore the other person's point of view. Alright?